Hey, Shalawam, Shalawam. First and foremost, giving all praises, glory, and honor be to the Heavenly Father, Yahawah, and His Son, Yahawashi. Right? And double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, true well and teach well and sincerity taught us its truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. This lesson is brought to you in the spirit, power, and strength of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Alright, as always, those are the true names of the Heavenly Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yahweh equals He is, He exists. Yahawashi equals He saves, He delivers, He is salvation. And Rakakadash equals a spirit that's holy, a spirit that's set apart. Alright. Without further ado, man, I want to jump right into this lesson. Got a couple videos to show just on Esau. You know, he was given that blessing. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get that. He was given that blessing in Genesis, the 27th chapter, the blessing of the sword. And I started Genesis 27:38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Because at this point in time, if you do not know the story, Jacob had gotten the blessing, okay, surplanted, which his mother, Rebecca, had helped him surplant to get the birthright, the blessing. But we understand in Genesis, the 25th chapter, the birthright was already sold to Jacob. So it did not belong to Esau anymore. Okay, so, and it was already prophecy for Jacob to rule over Esau, for the youngest brother to rule over the eldest brother. Right, that's in Genesis 25th chapter as well. Right, it was prophesied. So, and Jacob didn't truly steal the blessing or the birthright. And Esau has been trying to get it back, ever since that time. But you sold it off fair and square. Okay, and it was prophecy for it to happen. So Esau is crying because Jacob just got his blessing. In 39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, our dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. Right? That means having much substance, having resources, oil, gold, all this type of stuff, food, whatever it be, just the dew of the earth, right? The dew of heaven above, the fatness of the earth. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break the yoke from off thy neck. Okay? So, verse 40, once again, let's read that top. And by the sword thou shalt live. By thy sword shalt thou live. Okay? By thy sword. So the blessing of the sword, that's how he lives. Murder, right? Taking someone out. Warfare. That's what this devil loves to do. Now I got a video right here. I'm gonna play a little bit of it. I might jump around, but it's based upon something that they're using, where Iran is coming at them hard and heavy, most definitely. Okay, in many different ways. Right, drones, missiles. Okay, hacking tactics, cyber tactics, all this type of stuff. Okay, any type of way, and it's understood. You're going at the big one, right? You're trying to make them remember not to mess with you. But this devil is once again blessed with the sword, so don't forget that, and don't get it misconstrued. Now he's being exposed in a sense, but what he's doing is he's bringing more. He's bringing his tactics. He's setting up. All right. Matter of fact, before we even play this, let's go over here. And it's stated, this is troops leaving Bahrain, Kuwait, and all of that. As of early March 2026, the U.S. has initiated a partial precautionary withdrawal of personnel from Bahrain, home to the Navy's Fifth Fleet, and Qatar amidst escalating tensions with Iran. The State Department ordered non-emergency personnel and families to leave Bahrain, with reports suggesting the Fifth Fleet headquarters reduced staffing to mission-critical levels. Right now, with that being said, knowing a little bit about FPCON levels, it's that they're in Delta right now because they're at war. Okay, so a terrorist attack has occurred or is imminent in the immediate area. They're all hands on deck. They're ready to go. You could barely leave a base. All right, you coming in and coming out. They're searching your whole car. they're searching everything, you know. So it's what's going on. They're preparing for anything, and that's a majority of bases around the U.S. is gonna be like that. Around the planet, they're gonna be at least at FP Charlie, you know. So they're basically at war. All right. Now let's play a little bit of this video.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard released footage of a target representing the USS Abraham Lincoln being attacked by a swarm of drones. Their message was simple: we can see you, we can reach you, and our drone swarms will hit your carriers before your jets ever leave the deck. There's just one problem. The Navy has a new weapon that makes Iran's entire strategy obsolete. Let's look at what would actually happen if Iran tried to turn that propaganda footage into a real attack. It would start at 0600 local time, when 12 contacts climb off a coastal site near Bandar Abbas and turn south toward the Strait of Hormuz. Their target is the USS Abraham Lincoln and its strike group. These are Shahed 136 one-way attack drones. Ukrainians call them mopeds because of the sound. High-pitched whine from a two-stroke engine that could have come off a leaf blower. That's generous. Mopeds can at least change direction. Once the Shahed launches, it follows pre-programmed GPS coordinates until it hits something or runs out of fuel. There's nothing on board to detect threats, talk to its operator, or deviate from its heading. Tehran can't recall it, redirect it, or even confirm it's still flying. It's a lawn dart with a guidance chip you could order off of Amazon. The E-2D Hawkeye circling at 25,000 feet had all 12 contacts before they finished climbing. If you look at the dome on the top of this aircraft, that housing covers the AN/APY-9 radar, a system that can track objects the size of a dinner plate past 400 miles while processing over 2,000 contacts simultaneously. 12 Shaheds with the radar cross-section of a riding lawnmower flying straight and level at constant altitude registered about as challenging as spotting a bonfire at Burning Man.
All right, so that Hawkeye, you have what you call the Hawkeye, and let's also pull up another one, the Prowler, right? Just type in plane. Yeah, the Grumman EA-6B Prowler, right? Made by Northrop Grumman. Okay. They withdrawn them from service in June 2015, and they moved forward to using the Growler. These are electronic warfare derivatives of the FA-18 as Super Hornets. Right now, these are definitely on those planes. Right, you got strike groups, you got groups that are on those planes that are operating these prowlers. So keep in mind that electronic warfare will be used. Now I'm reading this because it's going to come into play later on, just showcasing that they're using these type of things to detect what's going on. It's many different types of warfare that's going on at this point in time. And digital warfare is major, right? As we said earlier, Iran is what they're hacking. They're using cyber warfare, So it's not just sticks and stones. You know what I'm saying? All right. So let's keep it going.
America spent $260 million on that aircraft, and what it just detected cost Iran about 30 grand apiece. Within 1.2 seconds of detection, every destroyer in the strike group has the same targeting picture. That's the cooperative Iran about 30 grand apiece. Within 1.2 seconds of detection, every destroyer in the strike group...
Now that right there is a good idea of what's out there. Every carrier has at least a destroyer with it. Okay, and the carriers ain't moving just by themselves. I was on a carrier myself, and every time we pulled into Australia, the destroyer pulled in as well. Okay, we pulled into Hong Kong, the destroyer pulled in as well. Used to have some homeboys on the destroyer. They're like, oh, yeah, we pulling, I'll see you at next port. You know what I'm saying? That's how it go. So you have a destroyer with you, and you also have some subs with you. There's some subs in that water somewhere, right? So that's how the U.S. is moving. They're not just out there playing around, BSing or moving, nah. Because these destroyers, what? They're going to be able to shoot down stuff. Now, the carrier has what is called a Sea Whiz. Matter of fact, let's bring that up. Let's see it. All this stuff should actually be on right here. Sea Whiz, Sea Wise. Most commonly refers to three distinct entities: Sea Wise, Marine. Nah, I don't think that's it. Sea Wise Giant, Sea Wise Project, Sea Whiz, Turret. Cause that's what it is basically, bro. It's lucky. Right here, Sea Whiz. All right. I just want a picture of it. Image. Booyah. And they're going to show you this in that video as well. Now this thing right here, they can shoot down most of them drones before they even get close. Alright? But the thing is how Iran attacks. Let's go to second address 15. And around 25, 26, 20, 30. Also the Khomenians, right? That's the ancient Iranians, Persians, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. That's how they attack. They coming like wild boars. You got to take them out. They're coming aggressive. They're coming in many different ways. They'll send drones and missiles at the same time. You know, they're going to hit you many different ways. So the Sea Whiz may be able to shoot down, let's say, 10, 15 drones, but then that missile may get through because the Sea Whiz is focused on the drones, man. Right? And with great power shall they come and join battle with them and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And that's speaking about what? The Americans. Okay, America, or the Edomites in general. Right? That's the ruling power right now. Back in the day, it would be the Assyrian Empire, but you know they're not really in power like that. So it's just spiritually talking about America. Okay, as many times in the scriptures it quotes, it says that, referring to America or the Edomites in general. Now let's go back to the video, just showing some visuals on this, and they're gonna showcase it over here too. Let's keep it going.
Has the same targeting picture. That's the cooperative engagement capability in motion. The Hawkeye spots 12 drones at the edge of the Earth, and before the CIC watch team looks up from their coffee, a destroyer 40 miles away has computed a firing solution. Iran built these drones with off-the-shelf GPS. America built a sensor network that turns a carrier strike group into one giant radar with a dozen trigger fingers. 41 minutes to impact. The Tau picks up the handset and gives an order that will cost the Navy millions. Conventional weapons only. He could end this engagement in 15 seconds with what the strike group is actually carrying. He doesn't. Not yet. There's an Iranian Moher 6 surveillance drone circling at 12,000 feet to the east, relaying real-time video to a command post near Bandar Abbas. The Tau has been tracking it for 40 minutes. He could splash it with a single SM-2 and blind Iranian intelligence completely. Instead, he lets it watch. He wants Tehran to see exactly what they expect to see. Expensive?
Boom. Hey, before you said that, boom, they bluffing. Like, not bluffing like they just playing around with each other. And really, Esau is playing. Okay? Yeah, Iran coming hard and heavy. And Iran is making damage. Don't get that wrong. There are plenty of videos of them bringing it out where they are actually affecting and they damaging. And Tel Aviv is upside down right now. Okay? Yeah, we understand that. Okay? And Kuwait and Bahrain and Qatar, these places, UAE, they getting hit. You know, the Dubai airport got hit. All right? So, yeah, these places are getting hit. But as we see on the water, where America has the largest navy, and it's extremely, like, they geared up for this. So what they're doing really, they're pulling, they're getting everything, and they're just showcasing right here. They're showing off what you're about to see. They're gonna show off, and they're bringing in other carriers. They're bringing in other strike groups. So when they come down with great wrath. When they attack with great wrath. You know, But they're not really, in a sense, on the sea. They're not scared.
American interceptors burning through a finite magazine against cheap disposable drones. He wants them to feel confident enough to send more. At 0638, things get interesting. The lead drones cross inside 20 kilometers. If you look at the destroyer's foredeck, the Mark 45 5-inch gun is already trained on bearing. This 127-millimeter weapon fires proximity-fused rounds. Shells designed to detonate near the target and spray shrapnel at 800 meters per second through composite airframes built to survive rain, not warfare. 3 rounds, 3 Shaheeds come apart in midair. $6,000 well spent. 9 contacts at 15 kilometers. Aboard one of the destroyers, its CIWS mounts spin up with the sound every sailor knows in their sleep. A rising, mechanical whir that means something is about to have a very bad day. The M61A1 rotary cannon puts 4,500 rounds of 20-millimeter tungsten penetrators per minute into targets that couldn't dodge a kite.
Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. And as we see, those drones, Iranians' drones cost, what, $30,000? And they have no redirect. They're just going in a straight line. So the best way to use those is just to send as many as you can and hope that one makes it. It's a desperate prayer. All right, that's what's taking place with them. But yeah, this CIWS right here is going to business. It's going to town. Okay, but like we saying, with missiles though, with hypersonic missiles, it ain't gonna go to town. Nah, it's not gonna actually be able to take them out. It could try, but that's why, like that, they're like wild boars. They're coming, they're bringing this, and they're bringing that, and they're bringing this, and they're bringing that. Let's keep it going.
Seconds and 4 drones turn to confetti raining into the Gulf. 5 drones left at 10 kilometers. Each RIM 116 rolling airframe missile you see launching here costs the price of an average home in the U.S. to chase down something Iran assembled for less than a used Camry. 5 launches, 5 hits. The infrared seekers barely had to work for it. 94 seconds from first shot to last. 12 drones down. But Iran just learned everything they needed to know, because that surveillance drone at 12,000 feet transmitted every detail back to Tehran. Final tab, $2.5 million in American ordnance to stop 360,000 in Iranian drones. $7 of defense for every dollar of attack. Those 5 Rams are gone. The magazine is lighter, and there's no way to refill missiles unless in port. The town knows this. He's been watching the...
Boom. So keep that in mind. Now, matter of fact, let's get a precept. All right, this is Ezekiel 28. And I started 1. The word of Yahawah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith Yahweh power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a power, I sit in the seat of power, in the midst of the seas. Right? Yet thou art a man, and not power, though thou set thine heart as the heart of power. Right? Now this will be referring to the Edomites, okay, in this sense. Right? And the same way, a similarity is like calling them the Assyrians, okay? Because the ancient Tyrees is what? Hamites, you know what I'm saying? But at this point in time, it's talking about the Edomites. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver unto thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. You know, the YT man thinks because he got all this infrastructure, private islands, planes, yachts, etc., military power, military might, blessing of the sword, you know, he can't be touched. But he's going to find out very soon you definitely can. Okay? Now, we know this devil has to exist for the point of being the devil, being wicked. And WW3 will take place. And hey, he's going to fight, man. Okay? The beast is going to be fighting. Right? But ultimately, the beast is going to hate the whore. And everybody's going to turn towards America and burn her. You know, with ICBM missiles and destroy her. But in the meantime, in between time, hey, that sword is about to be exercised. Okay? Now, she being wiser than Daniel, okay, we seeing that America is baiting Iran, right? In certain matters. Now, in certain matters, like I said earlier, yeah, damage is being done. Okay, those bases are being hit. And you got, matter of fact, let's go back to the internet. And you got what you call the Gulf Corporation Council. The Corporation Council for the Arab states, or the Ishmaelite states, or the Dragons of Arabia, in 2nd Esdras 15 and 29, of the Gulf, also known as the Gulf Corporation Council, is a regional intergovernmental political and economic union and military alliance comprising Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, or the UAE. Okay, and Iran hit all of these, except I don't think they hit Saudi Arabia and Oman, but they hit most of them, you know, and because the U.S. has bases in, I believe, all of them. Okay, so these are the Ishmaelites, which will ultimately turn towards America and go at America, because what's happening, as we read earlier, showed you earlier, that as of early March 2026, the U.S. has initiated a partial precautionary withdrawal of personnel from these places. So they're like, nah, we ain't about to defend these areas with the defense that we're going to defend Israel with. Showing your true alliance, your allegiance. How you going to have an alliance and you're not going to really rock with all your alliances? You just, yeah, we was just dealing with y'all for a minute. We really mess with him, you know? So let's get a little bit more of this, because the point of the video is coming up. It's a massive point. I'm going to have to fast forward it because I don't want to play all of this, but let's keep it going.
Surveillance drone 2. He could have splashed it an hour ago. At 0650, 3 coastal launch sites activate simultaneously. 76 drones lift off in staggered groups. Behind them, 20 more hold at low altitude near the coast. The probe told Tehran exactly what they expected. But unknown to the Iranians, the Navy has something hiding in plain sight they never expected. At 0651, the Hawkeye paints all 76 contacts converging from 2 bearings, 41 from the northeast, 35 from the east, plus those 20 reserves hugging the coastline at 50 meters just above the waves. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer like you see here carries 96 vertical launch cells, but those aren't all loaded for air defense. The SM-3s are reserved for ballistic threats. SM-6s embarked for high-value targets. Tomahawks needed for offensive strikes. Maybe 60 interceptors are available for air defense at $2.1 million per shot. That's $126 million in missiles to stop $2.3 million worth of drones. And Iran staged 20 reserves behind the main wave specifically because they've done this arithmetic. Wave 1 empties the magazine. Wave 2 walks in unopposed. No amount of creative allocation changes that arithmetic. You run out of missiles before Iran runs out of shaheeds, period. Unless the missiles never leave the tubes. At 0720, the Tau gave an order that confused half of his CIC watch team. Meteor to weapons free, all sectors. If you look at the destroyer's forward deck, between the VLS cells and the bridge, there's a flat panel array about the size of a commercial refrigerator. No rotating dish, no barrel. It looks like a slab of metal bolted to the deck. Another antenna among dozens on a warship bristling with them. 3 years ago, this system didn't exist. 2 years ago, it was a laboratory prototype that melted its own components after 4 seconds of operation. 1 year ago, it deployed on this destroyer under a classification level that doesn't even have an official name. This is Project Meteor, the Navy's first operational shipboard high-powered microwave weapon.
Oh yeah, that's the point. Now let's see. I'm gonna type it in because I ain't even did this yet. Project Meteor. Okay. Yeah, primarily refers to a U.S. Navy initiative developing a ship-integrated high-power microwave, HPM, directed energy weapon, DEW, designated to counter drones and missile threats with a low cost per shot. It is a prototype system focused on deep magazine, short engagement, multi-target, and dual deception capabilities. Yeah, because it looks like just another antenna or whatever communications array on the ship, but it's not that, okay? And it was a prototype system. Now that shit fully active now. It's fully active, bro. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's going back to them being gifted with that sword, man. They have microwave weapons, right? Same thing, same type of stuff they displayed in Venezuela. Okay, they just showing off what they have. But we know none of this shit is gonna mess with y'all, Bahasham, Yahawah. Okay? Right? That's what we ultimately know. Now, they're confident in it. That's why going back to them being prideful, being proud, and thinking that nobody can mess with them because they have these type of weapons and these type of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawah has given them the ability to formulate and make these type of things, such as the atom bomb back in the day, right, and the hydrogen bomb, and now the nuclear bomb. Okay, so this would it puffs a man up. Knowledge puff up a man, whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's what they thinking, because they got the knowledge, the wisdom of the world has puffed them up, where they think that they're untouchable, but they're not. But play a little bit more of this, you know.
And Iran is about to become its first real-world test subject. Iranian intelligence analysts reviewed satellite imagery of every American destroyer in the Fifth Fleet. This array was cataloged as a communications upgrade. Classification, non-threatening. That single line in an intelligence report was about to become the most expensive mistake in Iranian military history. And it can do something that was impossible until now. At 07:35, the northeastern formation enters engagement range at 18 kilometers, 41 contacts in a 25-degree arc, 6 minutes to impact. Meteor fires, but as you can see nothing. In the Mohair's ground control station near Bandar Abbas, the operator watched his screen in confusion. 37 drone feeds had just turned to static simultaneously. No missile warnings, no explosions on the optical feed. The contact simply stopped. He cycled through frequencies, checked his equipment, then reached for the secure phone. His supervisor would want to see this. What neither of them understood was that they were watching the future of naval warfare, and Iran was on the wrong side of it. What actually happened behind that flat panel is where the engineering matters. Thousands of gallium nitride semiconductor elements, a material that wasn't mature enough for weapons applications a decade ago, generated focused microwave energy and combined it into a single coherent beam steered electronically at the speed of light. Here's the physics that makes Meteor possible and why Iran never saw it coming.
So, hey, keep in mind, this can shoot down helicopters, planes, all right? It's targeting the batteries, and it's shooting at the speed of light, as they said. So, pretty much anything that man-made, it pretty much has the ability to take it out, unless it's hypersonic. It got to be moving faster than that. It's got to be moving like, Mach 15, like the Fata 2, the Satan 2. These type of things that Yahawah Bahasham Yahawah has given to other people, the Russians, which are Edomites as well, but he's using them to take out these Edomites, right? He's using them to, a house divided, right? So this is a good weapon, in the sense of, hey, clap for them, man. They gifted with that sword. This is a microwave weapon, It's not costly, right? And none of that, So, and you don't have to replenish it in the sense of you got to put more missiles in it. Nah, it's gonna be usable and operational continuously, right? So let's get a little bit more of this, man. I'm gonna wrap it up.
Microwave energy at the right frequency doesn't need to burn through armor or punch holes in airframes. It just needs to reach the electronics. A Shaheed's GPS chip operates on milliamps. Meteor delivers amps. The difference between those two numbers is the difference between a drone that flies and a lawn dart that falls. 37 contacts dropped off the Aegis display simultaneously, falling out of the sky without burning or exploding, just nosing over and dropping into the Gulf like someone pulled the battery, which is essentially what happened. 4 contacts at the formation's edge are still tracking. They were riding the boundary of Meteor's 30-degree cone, where energy density drops below the threshold needed to fry hardened circuits. The cone's width matters. It determines how much sky the weapon covers per pulse, and these 4 Shaheeds were just outside of it. 6-second recharge cycle. The system draws from the ship's generators, feeding the same electrical bus that runs the radar, the combat systems, and the coffee pod in the CIC. Iran spent a decade building a strategy around depleting American ammunition. Meteor's ammunition is diesel fuel. The weapon slews 15 degrees and catches the 4 stragglers. 1 pulse, 4 debris tracks. Eastern formation now. 35 contacts bearing 090. Meteor or...
That's cool. That's cool. And I think I got the gist of it. You know, it's just a pulse weapon. And as they say, it runs off of diesel. Okay. So, hey, that's easily, you know, replenished, put back in. They got plenty of that on the ship. You know. So, hey, man, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Just showcasing that Esau is, he's bringing out some of the tricks and some things that he got up his sleeve that he hasn't showcased. As this weapon is as they stated 2 years ago, it was in prototype stage. Right, it was in the desert, messing up everything. But now it's operational, and they're deploying it on the battlefield. And they have other things. Okay, just to my knowledge, they got a laser weapon, right? And that's public knowledge. Ain't nothing too crazy, but it is something that it's another DEW, direct energy weapon. Right, so we're moving into those times like James Bond Moonraker or something, where you're shooting with laser weapons now. You know, they're able to harness the power of lasers and use them for weapons. And shoot, man, I remember I had a watch. I was standing watch, and I had this laser gun, but it was just like they said it would actually blind somebody if I shot it at somebody's eyes. But that shit, bro, when I say that shit had a range on it of like a couple miles, that shit was cold. And I had to go through a certain class just to be able to use it. But that was back in, when was I on that ship? Like 2016? So I know by then, man, they got some shit. Right? You know, they done upgraded far more than that. And that was just something they gave a basic watch standard. You know, so it is what it is, man. Esau has a lot of tricks that they about to showcase in the coming days, the coming years. I pray not years, but the coming war, WW3. You know what I'm saying? And hey, once Yahawashi show up, shit over. Okay, it ain't too much they could do. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing they could do, right? So, man, let's pray we get up out of here very soon, man. Giving all praise, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, and Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. As always, Kwam Yasharahla, and above above this wicked kingdom. May Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi destroy this bitch yesterday. Let's get up on out of here. If you can't see the light, you walking in darkness. Shalawam, Shalawam.